Yo, what is up? We are back in the house. It's been, how long's it been, Brother B?
I think it's almost been a year. And there's legitimate reasons why it's been so long. It was not planned. We didn't break up.
No.
We didn't, life. Okay, because here's the deal. Because Myles has got kids. He's like doing the coaching stuff. He's got a job. He's growing some gray in his beard.
Whoa.
Yours truly. I had to, because it's...
At least I can grow a beard.
Yeah, mine's just patchwork. And, it's and I think it's different only because we live the distance that we do, because I think if we, we were kids, we could ride our bikes to each other's house and say, hey, it's time to record. And believe it or not, the same with my solo podcast the same way. I don't have, I'll get on there and say, hey, I'm going to have a new episode Friday, and I lie. And it's because it's just, you got to get in it. But we're in it. We're back.
We're back.
We're back. I was nervous about this, and I'll get into that in a minute on why. Because A, we haven't talked to each other in a minute. We talk to each other occasionally on text message and stuff.
Right.
Hey, let's get the band back together. And Alan Hall's like, what are you guys doing? Here I am, hook you guys up, which page, and you guys just go ghosts. So we're back, and we're glad to be back. We're going to talk
All Indiana Podcast Network. Yep, we're happy to be back with that.
All Indiana, and with some occasionally pop culture quiz that I like to throw at Myles just to see if he's paying attention to what goes on outside of Lucas Oil Stadium, just like in the country in general.
Right. I don't know how well I'm going to do at that here right now, though.
Just one thing we have learned, if you follow anything that's been going on in some of the news, Costco does not sell baby oil in bulk. So Diddy lied about that, but that's we'll talk about that another time.
What?
He tried to. It's a long story.
We made it 2 minutes into the show without
2 minutes into the show, and all of a sudden, man,
Diddy.
But it's just you have to, because last year we were kind of consumed with the whole Taylor Swift and all that stuff. But I've noticed
we didn't even make it 3 minutes to Taylor Swift.
I know, but I don't think. I think are her and Brittany Mahomes still kicking it, because remember they were BFFs.
If I paid attention, I could tell you. I don't know. You don't ever see her when they do the highlights that show Taylor.
No.
Right now, it's kind of interesting. That's a really good point.
And I think it has something to do, it's presidential stuff, it's election. We won't even get into politics. Everybody's got their favorite, their non-favorite, and everything. So it's it's nuts. It's nuts. I was worried when you said, let's do that. I said, when do you want to record? Let's record right after the game. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit nervous because you got the Colts at 1-2. You got the Steelers. Undefeated. And I'm like, man. And then as I'm looking through the stats, because I'm not going to lie, I'm too cheap to get Peacock or whatever other network it's on, Paramount. And Anthony Richardson leaves the game. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, no. Because, they're on the streak or whatever. And I'm like, what could possibly, are they still going to keep the momentum up? And let's talk about this. How do you go out with a hip injury? What exactly happened? I saw that it said hip injury, which I've never heard of that. I mean, I'm sure it does happen, obviously. But hip injury, what happened exactly?
Yeah, so it was a combination of a couple hits. He took off running on one, and he didn't slide, which is the problem, right? It was a problem with Andrew as well.
Yeah.
He didn't slide. He turned his back to the defender, and the defender put his shoulder right into the hip. I mean, right into it. So he got up. He took a play off. He got up after a little bit, took a play off, came back in, and they immediately run an option play with him. He runs left and he takes another, what I thought should have been a flaggable hit for excessive contact. I mean, the dude smoked him helmet to helmet after he'd given himself up, but no flag was thrown. And then I think that was kind of it. I think it was more precautionary, to be honest with you, especially with the lead, and Flacco was doing okay. I mean, the offense stalled for a little bit after Flacco came in, but it had, obviously enough to keep the lead. But when you have a 17-0, then 17-3 lead at halftime, and in the closing minutes of the game, you're up by 3, 24-27. It gets a little nerve-wracking, especially as a Colts fan here lately.
Would the score been any different had Richardson stayed in the game?
I believe the energy would have been different. Minshew last year was a very similar quarterback. At least he had the ability to do some running. So the playbook changed a little, but not a lot. Flacco does not have the ability to run. He's your Peyton Manning, Tom Brady-esque guys where if he needs to scramble to get away from pressure, he might be able to do it, but he's not a threat. So it changes the whole entire playbook. Even the passing plays are different because they're not RPO, which stands for run pass option type plays. And so it changes the whole playbook. So it wasn't surprising that they scored quickly because that was on a short play with Flacco. But then as the offense was taking the full field, the full playbook or what was available with Flacco was there. It was totally different energy. I think they would have, if Anthony had continued to play the way he had to that point, I think they would have scored 35, 40 plus points.
Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting to know. A lot of injuries that I've read about. You mentioned Minshew. Off the top of your head, are there 3 players that are going to flourish better now that they've left the Colts and have went on to different teams off the top of your head that they may not have done well with the Colts, but now they're going to be in a better environment, maybe better support, and we're going to go, man, we shouldn't have got rid of them, or man, I can't believe they left. Can you think of 3?
Well, that's tough because really the only one we lost in the offseason of note was Minshew, right? And the Colts are team run it back this year. They signed a defensive lineman and they signed Joe Flacco, and that was it free agency wise. They just re-signed their own. So we basically have the same team that we had last year plus our rookies and Joe Flacco.
Is that a help or hindrance?
That's
too early to tell.
Well, it's too early to tell this year. I'm not on the Ballard train. I think this team isn't great. It isn't good. But that's 2 wins in a row. So, I might be just being too critical and I might be wrong here. It's interesting. I mean, they held on for this win. They held on for the Chicago win. That shows backbone. The defense has been much improved. It was a little rougher in the second half of this game, obviously. But maybe they are a good team. I don't know. It's too early to tell for sure. But I definitely would have made a few changes here and there, strengthened up the secondary, specifically the safety, but now even the cornerback, because not only did we have a lot of inexperience there, but now we're pretty injured. But what I will say is the guys that we've brought in to fill those gaps, they're performing exceptionally well.
What do you think now? We beat it. Or I say we, like I still live there, like I play.
You'll always be here, man.
I'm always. I mean, everybody out here is Kansas City. I mean, even though we're close to St. Louis, everybody here is like, they're on the Chiefs bandwagon and whatnot. And I've still got to root for the Colts because they still, there's still part of me, a very small part of me that still like holds on to everything back in good old Naptown. Where do you see? I mean, this is an undefeated team. It's Pittsburgh, 3-0. So they took out an undefeated team. Does that spell momentum to you, or does that spell luck? And I'm not talking about it.
It's a little bit of both, to be honest with you, because even though Pittsburgh was 3-0, I don't know that they were a legitimate 3-0 team. Like, they might have been there by luck. But again, they're 3-0, so you can't take that away. But what I will say is, Chicago last week was not a gauge. It was a good win, but we should have won that game regardless. Chicago is not a good football team. They will be, but they're not right now. Mm-hmm. So this was kind of like the first actual test since the 2 losses and the embarrassment on the ground of over 200 yards per game rushing, held 200 yards in the first half against Green Bay. This defense has definitely had something to prove, and I'm on the fire Gus Bradley train, but I'm kind of pausing that train a little bit based on these last 2 weeks. I will say the only thing that really scared me, the first half they came out aggressive. They were blitzing. There's a reason we held Pittsburgh to 3 points, which were scored at the end of the half. And then he went back into that soft scheme that he likes to use that is, it never works, and the next thing you know, it's 24-27 with 3 minutes left to go in the game. So, I don't know why he switched gears. I'm going to give him credit because we won and the defense was a huge part of that, but I need to see Gus stick with the aggressive game plan even when we're up big. You don't let off the gas pedal because that's when teams come back.
So you're saying he should stay full throttle. If they're on this momentum, they're on the swing, Don't like, as a game, you get caught, you get caught up, and you think you're in the free and clear. Your quarterback's out with a hip injury, and all of a sudden you're going, I don't know, because that has to make anybody nervous, I would think. But I mean, what do you think the fan base? What is the fan base saying back home? Like, what is the gauge from like the blogs and everything as far as like the coaching and all that stuff? Like, what is? I know it's still early, but what is the general consensus so far?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's split 50-50. And that's on any topic, not just the Colts in general. It's on Anthony Richardson. It's on Shane. It's on the defense. It's on Gus. It's on Chris Ballard. It's split 50-50. Half of what you see out there is defending whatever that topic is. Half of it that you see out there is when I say like rolling them, they're down. Like they're hard. I mean, it is flat out hateful, the people that are on the negative side of this.
Indiana's always been like that, though.
Yeah, it seems so much worse now, though, and maybe that's just social media. But they're really hard on Anthony Richardson, which I get. There's a high expectation of quarterback play here, but technically this is his rookie year since he was hurt most of last year, and he is a project quarterback. We knew that when we drafted him. It wasn't going to be an instant turnaround, and I think people saw how good he could possibly be last year, and then they took a whole year off of him with the injury. They expect him to come back and be third-year Peyton Manning, not first-year Peyton Manning.
Do they have the same dislike that were they ever like that with Luck or with Peyton back in the day?
With Peyton, there's absolutely no way to know because there wasn't social media. I mean,
right.
Facebook came around and MySpace was around, but that's not what people used the platforms for then. Right. Andrew is kind of on that line. But I mean, Andrew came out and went 13 maybe it was 11-5, I think, his first 3 years. So there was no critique there. But you also know the amount of hatred that spewed from this entire city when he retired.
Man, well, just because, as we talked about before, because it was, it leaked out, they didn't get a chance to get ahead of it, and by the time they did their official announcement at the podium, people already knew. We already knew. Yeah. It spread. It spread like a forest fire, and I think when something like that happens, no matter what your sport, Hollywood or whatever, when you can't get ahead of it, it's like you're the boy that cried wolf. You get up there on that podium and say, we're going to do this. Do we know about that 6 hours ago? We saw it on the gram, or we saw it on TikTok or whatever, because everybody wants to get that story out. They want to, try to get some scoop. And if you could be the guy that breaks that story before the officials get a chance to put it on the letterhead and make it look all fancy, then you get you get that cred, I guess. Who are they playing next, and what do you see in the next game?
So the next game is a pretty huge game. It is against the Jaguars. So, I mean, this game is maybe, I mean, this has must-win implications to me because the Jaguars aren't great, but this is a division game, and you've already lost one division game, right? And we're in Jacksonville. This team has a hard time winning in Jacksonville. So this game is an absolute must win. I'll be curious to see. I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to be out more than just he was today. I think he'll be back.
I wouldn't think so with a hip injury. I mean, I understand that.
And he wanted to come back in, and Shane wouldn't let him come back in. So,
you think Shane should let him?
No, I think Shane made the right decision. I mean, Flacco wasn't doing terribly. I mean, he did actually very well for the most part. It just felt a little disconnected because, again, you're switching complete game plans and the whole scheme of all 11 players on the field changes when you go from Anthony Richardson to Joe Flacco. But I think, obviously overall he played well because we still walked away with a win.
Right. I think they probably, if it would have been Peyton, they would have let him go back in because we all know how Peyton needs to get his way back in the day.
Well, but was it like that in his rookie year though, or his second year?
No,
when did that start? No. Right, like it was probably 4 or 5 years in before.
But I've seen it firsthand, man. Make sure you get those extra lights on. I mean, he was the sheriff. I mean, and that's why. I mean, and I think back then you had. He had the credit to back it up. He could sit there and say,
100%.
Like Michael Jordan with the Bulls, like, Reggie with the Pacers, even though they never won a championship. So, yeah, I mean, I think you have you have that. And I think maybe next year Anthony will be at that caliber, because I think, like you said, I think if people take you're like, wait a minute, you had a year off. What you got? So you want to come back.
He didn't get that playing time, that development, and the dude is low as hell on it as it is, right? Like, he doesn't have a lot of experience. 13 games in college and like 4 and only 1 complete game last year before the 3 that he's played this year. So he's got a grand total of like 17 or 18 games football experience. Mm-hmm. That's not in the NFL. No, that's football experience.
Combined.
So, like, it's going to take time. That's just all there is to it.
Do you think that's who they invest their time in and stay the course? Or do you think if things don't pan out this year, they make yet another change? Or do you think they stick on this course and
they've got to stick on this course for a couple years? There's no coming off of this course unless the absolute bottom would have to fall out. I mean, this is a 2 to 3 year minimum project. So they can't, unless there's an injury or like he misses the rest of this season and then early next season he misses all that season. If you've got a first overall pick and you're staring at Arch Manning, I think that's when you make a change, but we're 2 years away from that.
Right. Well, that's good to know. So if you could predict the score next week, do you predict a win? I won't even say the score because I don't want to put that pressure on you because we haven't talked in so long. I just want to start throwing these stresses on you.
Man, look, I'm like Vanilla Ice. I'll take under pressure like it's mine.
That's good. I like that.
Thanks. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna be very positive, optimistic about what's going on.
This is good because I didn't think I was going to get that from you because we haven't talked.
If they'd have lost this game, if that had went any other way besides the way that game ended, which was kind of crazy, I would have something completely different to say. I'm sure the whole show, but I'm happy we're 2-2, right? Like, I mean, it's better than it looked in the first 2 weeks, and it's getting better each week, and that's all you can ask for with a young team like this. Colts Jaguars, right? What's that?
Yeah. Usually I look at your social and you start ranting. That's usually when I know, boy, this show's going to be interesting. And that's when I usually try to gauge. And I didn't look at it this stuff because, putting up Halloween decorations.
I didn't post a lot today because I initially didn't post and things were going well. And I'm really.
Because you wanted to save it for the show.
Well, yeah, right? It's obviously, right? First time back in almost a year, right? Like.
It doesn't seem like a year, though.
It's like
it does not seem like a year.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. And I think that's how you got somebody, you got like, your people, you can pick up, microphone, whatever, phone, and it's just like it's like hasn't skipped a beat. I mean, I think we've gotten older. I've got more gray. You've got more gray.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's why you got that hat on. You're not fooling me, son.
There's not much gray up here. It's just it's a Jufro mess. I can't. I can't. The camera is not wide enough.
Oh man! See, if I'd have said even like this, and here I am trying not to curse like I do on my solo show. I'm trying to be, legit, trying to, because it's tough. Because when I do this for the track, and I go on twice a night, right. And I call them my non-professional picks. And trust me, it's crazy because like I'll do the picks. And they'll, and I'm next to stall 1. And if I don't pick the 1 horse, they look at me like they're mad. I'm like, not every horse is Seabiscuit. You know what I mean? Like not every horse is Secretariat. And it's usually especially with somebody I know, it's like, hey, I'm going to go with the 5, 4, 6. Good luck. And then whoever's in the 1, stall 1 right next to me, it's like, that's what I'm like, man, you feel bad. But if your horse is like coming out of the gate like Blazing Saddles or whatever, and then it's still tailing when they're getting ready for the next race, I have the enthusiasm. But that's another thing. We'll talk about that later. I have been doing pretty decent on my picks though.
Good for you. Good for you.
See it. I mean, that's about it.
My FanDuel account is drained.
You need to keep because that's my.
I make all these really stupid SGP bets though. I have too much fun. Like I'll have like 7 or 8 legs going. I'm like, I got $1 on this, and I'm gonna win like $3,000. Yeah, right. But like, and like, oh my god, I had one the other day. It was like 13 or 14 legs, and I hit on all of them going into the last game. It was a Monday night game, and I barely missed on the very last one. And that was my last $1.05. So
that's contributing to my 401. So you just keep on that account, brother, because
you got it, man. See if you can work out a sponsorship for the show. Then
I know. I was thinking about that, or talk to Alan Hall if you're watching, listening, or whoever. I think we should do the podcast during the Billy Joel concert.
Oh,
at Lucas Oil. Now, did I think the announcement show was worth the hype? No, because I thought that was. I'm sorry, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but I was like, okay, is Elton John coming back out of retirement? Because they did do their thing, and Sting is like
crazy, right?
Sting is the goods, right? So I see Laura Steele up there. Love you, Laura Steele, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be, Joel and John, wah wah wah, and it's Sting. And Sting's good too. Don't get me wrong, and I think it's gonna be a great show. I think we should somehow be in a concourse somewhere, even if they got to put us by the snack bar. I don't care. I'll work a beer stand and have us do the podcast there. I think that's what I think. I think if anybody's watching this and can make this happen, get us something. I think we're deserving of it.
You'll get little to no argument from me.
How many Billy Joel songs do you actually know?
Oh, enough.
He'll say like Uptown Girl. Huh? You probably know Uptown Girl, I'm sure.
Oh, who doesn't? I mean, like my whole life, right? Like, I mean, everybody knows that. Everybody knows the "We Didn't Start the Fire." I mean, there's the Piano.
You know those older stuff like Big Shot, Piano Man. See,
yeah.
Okay, all right, okay,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so anybody that can think they can get us into that concert, I know it's February. I'll make the road trip to get down there. I know. I always say that because I haven't been to Indiana like in a hot minute. I'd go. Where do you see the team? I know, again, still early, but I'm kind of stoked that they beat an undefeated team today. Where do you see it ending up? Where do you see this season? If after last year, where do you see?
Literally go in any direction. They could literally not win another game all season. They could win. I don't think there's a chance that they could win the rest of their games this season, but they could make the playoffs. They could win the division. Most certainly, either of those things could happen. I mean, they're 2-2 right now. That's that's a lot better than I thought it would look after week 4. After I watched week 2, so there's definitely hope. I don't really know what to expect. I don't know what to expect out of Anthony. I don't know what to expect whether he's healthy or not. I don't know what to expect out of Flacco, if they have time to plan for Flacco. There's just so many factors. But as far as this coming week, I will take the Colts. I'm going to say it's going to be 34-24 is what I'm going to say. I'm going to give you that score because I ain't scared.
Now, are you gonna get in your FanDuel account and throw some dollars that direction?
I mean, only if you donate some dollars in this direction. Right now, that FanDuel is on 0 because of that parlay we were just talking about.
No, I don't have nothing. Occasionally, I'll play the ponies, but I don't because I don't know enough about the sports betting. I mean, obviously, we have a sports book where I'm at. I don't know that much. Like that when I was a kid, it's like, who do you think's gonna win a game? And it was like that was it. It didn't get all this other too complicated stuff. Now, horse racing, different story. I'll sit there and read the form. I'll read the daily racing form. And I'll get some shots and I'll throw some numbers out. I'll throw some, some try boxes out there, but not to the degree of like where I go. Yeah,
see, I don't know. I don't know anything about horse racing. I couldn't tell you the first thing about any of that.
Yeah, I know enough to be dangerous. And when I do my picks, I call my non-professional picks, and they say, "Why do you do that?" I said, "Because if you don't win from them, they're my non-professional picks. If you win from them, great." And I keep it, and everybody knows it. I always say, pick them as you want them. Anytime, and I always tell people, pick them as you want them. I say, these are my 3. If you take the 3 and do what's called the try box, no matter what order they come in, you'll get some. So if I say, hey, in the 3rd race, I got the 4, 6, 7, box it. So this way, any combination will get you something. Now, if it comes in straight, if it's a straight try, obviously you'll make some more money. But we'll teach maybe some down the road. If the Colts start doing well, and we have nothing to sing their praises, we'll talk about me.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down to learn.
And you're coaching.
I've always been curious.
You're coaching, right? Yeah. So tell me what you're doing in coaching. I'm curious.
Well, the season just ended. We were supposed to have the championship tournament this weekend, but it got rained out, and that's the end of the season, unfortunately. But it's fall ball, it's rec ball, so it's not that deep at all. But had a blast. With these boys, they're absolutely crazy. 7 and 8 and some 9-year-old boys.
Nice.
Never a dull moment. We'll put it that way. But
Awesome I'm sure.
Sure.
The only thing I ask is that if a parent ever squares off with you, please tell your wife to have the camera ready. Like I want to see like you in action, and just I can see that, because first of all, I think it's horrible when it's bad enough the kids are under the pressure and the people take it way too serious or whatever. But I can see you like just because you're a big dude. I could see you like you having some words with a parent or whatever. But I think it's more about just getting the kids involved, keeping them
100%.
engaged. Learning how to participate and boost each other up. And I think a lot of
100%.
parents, they live vicariously because maybe they didn't have that or they didn't go as far.
Right.
And then before you know it, like, I see some of these parents, and I won't name any names. They like their kids in all these sports, and you never see the kid posted with any friends. Right. And you go, wait a minute, like, where's like the birthday parties? Where's the, doing whatever? And everybody wants their kid to be, successful and be this like star athlete and a star student or whatever. Right. But there's also the times we have to let them be a kid.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And I don't have kids, but I just, when I see this, I'm like, man, this kid, they just look miserable. And I think when you can have somebody like you, who's an understanding dude or whatever, to, to show these kids what teamwork's about and sportsmanship, that's what it's about. We need to have more of that, I think, in youth sports.
Oh, I agree.
Not pressured and so just crazy, because then it's like, the kids feel like they're letting the parents down if something doesn't go their way. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be like every time you look happy, you look like you're chill, you're just like, hey, this is what you're doing. And I think that's great, because a lot of people, they'll take that on, but they'll take it to an extreme it doesn't need to go to.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I've always said the worst thing about youth sports is the parents. But that being said, I have been very lucky over the few years that I've been doing this. I've never had a problematic parent. And I over communicate to the parents, and I've had good assistant coaches and coaching staffs and stuff like that help me. But for the most part, we've been very lucky to have good parents. And for the most part, the whole league, there's incidents. There's going to be incidents, right?
Right.
It's that piece, whatever that is, that you're living vicariously through your kids, or you take it seriously, like you got money on it. Like, it's unfortunate, but you're never going to get rid of that.
Yeah, I think I need to show up one of these games, like the guy from like Happy Gilmore, and say, "Nice play call, jacket." And just show up and
there
see
you go.
who it is. Just like some random guy that just shows up like in the end zone, just shaking his head at you like in sheer disgust, even though you might be winning, just to kind of throw you off your game. That would distract you if I showed up unannounced?
No, that wouldn't distract me. But the funny part is I could almost guarantee you there'd be a baseball or softball mom that would come running full force and drop kick you like Adam Sandler in The Waterboy.
And if she's hot, I have no problem with that. That's fine. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But no, I think that's cool, and I do commend you for that, because I think a lot more parents need to be involved like that, instead of just saying, "Hey, I can't believe they didn't do this." And I think everybody deserves that chance to learn sportsmanship. Know that not only is there wins, but there's losses, and it's not that deep. It's not as deep as your peers or your parents or other people might make it seem.
I've got 2 rules, 2 things I try to accomplish each season, and it doesn't matter whether it's boys or girls. I want to teach these kids the game that I grew up loving, and that was, and still is my favorite sport. Mm-hmm. That's number 1. Number 2 is I want them to have fun. I want them to have enough fun that they want to come back the next season. That's mm-hmm. my goals. That's it. And whatever happens in between. I mean, we've played for championships. We've lost early in the tournament. This particular baseball team, we were really good.
Nice.
And it made me sad that we didn't get to put that to the test in the tournament.
Mother Nature threw. She came through this area, wind and rain, and I saw you guys were getting it, because every time I see like the Indiana weather warnings, I'm like, well, we had it first, because it goes through Illinois, it goes through Missouri, and I'm just like, I see this and we're like, oh, look out, because sometimes a storm will lose steam before it gets to you guys. Sometimes it seems like it picks up at just Mother Nature. It's just, there's been so many times where I'll get on the air and say, hey, it's gonna be a nice night of horse racing, and it's just pouring, and we run. I mean, unless there's lighting within a so-mile radius, we're running, and it's just you just get nervous, and people are not going to be outside watching that, and it's that's the thing is Mother Nature can really throw a damper sometimes on you know, on an event like that, especially when you're so close to getting where you want to go, and then you're like,
exactly. I mean, we would have played if the rain had come while we were playing, but like the fact that it just the fields were swamps, you know, you can't even start a game.
No,
you know?
No.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, what do? You know, you just keep on going on. When's the season start for you next year?
It won't. Like Marchish is when spring season will start.
Nice.
So we got some time off.
Got some time off. All right. Well, this has been good. We're back into a rhythm.
Yeah, we're getting into the flow.
Colts won.
Yes, Colts won 2-2. It's I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I really did think they were going to lose this week. And
I was looking at the ticker. I was on FanDuel and I was looking at the score. You know, they do like the live updates. I'm like, oh man, what kind of miles am I going to get for this one?
It was touch and go there for a couple minutes.
It was touch and go, and I'm like, wait a minute, Richardson's out, so I'm sure he's going to bitch about that. And I'm like, oh man, where's it going to go? And then I refresh the screen and they win, and I'm like, well, we're going to get a lot better, a lot more. I don't want to say mild miles, but yeah, maybe mild. I'm call you Eminem.
Maybe I'm getting mild in my old age. Wow, that was really hard to say. Well, I guess that's it for this week then, man. I guess we're going to do it same bat time, same bat station next week. It's great to be back with you, Brother B.
It is. And I need a green screen. I know my studio is a mess. I have a green screen at work that I told Myles, I'm like, I'm going to bring it home so he can have like the St. Louis Arch or like Busch Stadium behind me or something cool. And there's my messy studio, pretty much in the same condition. It's like Groundhog Day. It's exactly like it was. If you look at some of the footage from last year, it's probably the same.
I already had your green screen picture ready. It was Grimace.
Wow. Wow.
Just standing behind you like he's Diddy.
Nice.
See, okay. I made it 31 minutes, 59 seconds before I did the Diddy reference.
Okay, now I got to bring up one thing, and I'm going to talk
about it. What didn't Diddy do?
Okay. I'm gonna bring up one thing, and I'm gonna talk about it on my solo podcast. I'm gonna record later on this evening. Okay. The press likes to embellish. Now, I'm not talking about anything that he did, but everybody knows. He had parties, but he also had parties that were like the Y parties and the parties at the Hampton. Just because you're on like a regular picture, whether you're in People magazine, doesn't mean you were involved in the other stuff. You know what I mean? So I think they're painting a portrait. The bad stuff did happen. Do I think it happened with the celebrities that they're rumoring to? I don't know. But just because there's a picture of him and Leonardo DiCaprio does not even help Diddy scoring, okay? So I think a lot of the press is hyping it up to make it look like all these celebrities were involved in this freak-off stuff. And maybe it is, I don't know. Now, my prediction, and you know me, how long have I been talking about this? He's definitely behind Pac. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to come out eventually. And I think, based on what, I think Jay-Z's next. There's been a lot.
Wow. That's insane. That would be so insane if wow.
There's a little bit of there's a trail. And again, I don't believe everything I see on the internet, but I do follow music. I've followed this stuff, and I just think, put it this way, unlike Epstein, who didn't get a chance to reveal the client list and who actually was there, this is going to be interesting, because if anybody thinks Diddy's going to go, because now he wants to testify. If you think he's going to go up there, he's going to roll. He is going to roll and roll and roll again, and I can't wait to see who he rolls on.
You know what I can't wait to see? No, it won't be Alex and Myles, but you know what I can't wait to see?
What?
I can't wait to see Diddy and R. Kelly put together the greatest album since Johnny Cash and Folsom Prison Blues. It's coming.
Because
it is.
Will say this in one parting word: if Justin Bieber or Usher ever spilled the tea on what happened when they were hanging with Diddy, because anybody has seen these it's all coming out with if they actually come, be witnesses for the prosecution, it's done. Because everybody already knows. They've already dropped enough hints. We've seen the 48 hours of Diddy stuff. Usher has said he has seen stuff he shouldn't have. Justin says, he was, without coming out and saying everything. If those two actually testified and spilled the tea as legitimate celebs that they are, it's already over anyway. but it'll be
It's
fascinating.
extra over.
It's
extra over. Speaking of over, that is our time for today. We got off the rails there, but it's always fun with the B Brothers, right? We got like a year of this pent up. So, Brother B, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Remember, y'all, check us out on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Check out that Red Rocket microphone.
Yep, yeah, the Red Rocket microphone. Okay, you're really funny. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Take care.
We're out.